Hi everyone, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead, and we're ready to start the new book in our series that we've been reading, the DJ Dillon Adventure Series by Lee Roddy. He's the author, and the name of this one is Dooger, the Grasshopper Hound. So that sounds pretty good. If you remember from yesterday, Alfred had made a deal that he would help DJ get an award-winning story if DJ would help him find a bugle hound. That's one that has a special sound and they're very, very hard to find. So let's begin. Chapter 1, Finding the Stray Pup. There was no hint of trouble in the spring air when DJ Dillon heard the airplane's motor. The 13-year-old boy bent his head to look out of the passenger window of his father's pickup truck. DJ raised his right hand to shade the June sun from his blue eyes. The twin-engine air tanker was just taking off from the airport, out of sight behind the tall evergreen trees covering the mountain range. "Must be another fire, Dad," the boy said, pulling his head back inside the cab. "That's the second plane we've seen take off in the last couple minutes." DJ's father ducked his powerful neck to peer through his pickup's windshield a little better. "Sure looks like it," Dad agreed. "Hope they catch whoever's been setting those fires before they burn up all the timber." The boy glanced down at his feet. His mixed-breed mutt, Hero, shifted his weight on the floorboards. Hero was mostly hound, with some Airedale and Australian Shepherd blood in him. DJ reached down and scratched the scuffy-looking dog's ears. Dogs love that. Suddenly, Dad hit the brakes and swerved sharply towards the shoulder of the country road. DJ's head snapped up. He looked through the dirty windshield at the narrow, winding mountain road. "What's the matter?" he asked. "Must be something in the road ahead. Look how the cars are dodging, both ahead of us and those coming towards us." The boy leaned far to the right to see what might be causing the other cars to swerve so suddenly. Perhaps a deer, he thought. Maybe even a fawn, although usually mothers kept them hidden until July. DJ couldn't see anything. He felt Hero stir at the pickup's unusual motion. The boy reached down and petted the mutt's head. "It's okay, Hero," he said softly. "Go back to sleep." Dad shook his head. "Crazy bunch of drivers. Look at the way they're acting." DJ's blue eyes again peered through the mud-splattered windshield. "Must be something right on the yellow divider line," he said. "Hey, I see it. It's something alive. Watch out." A car coming towards the Dillons swayed wildly as the driver tried to miss the object, then swung too far back and started across the yellow line towards the pickup. "Hang on," Dad yelled and hit the brakes and swerved hard towards the shoulder. The pickup bounced into the gravel and started to fishtail. That's where the back end of the car just begins going back like this. That's not very good. Dad fought the wheel and gained control. The other car missed the back end of the pickup. The air was filled with the sound of squealing brakes and rubber tires. DJ breathed a sigh of thanks as Dad eased the empty pickup onto the road. The boy looked out of the windshield again and yelled, "Dad, it's a pup! Look out, don't hit it." "I see it." As they passed, DJ stretched his neck to see better. The red-colored hound pup crouched exactly on the double yellow no-pass line in the center of the mountain road. The dog seemed to be about to jump in any direction where there wasn't a car coming or going. As they whizzed by one after another, dodging, honking, screeching their tires and their brakes. He'll be killed, Dad. Stop. Please stop. You can't help him, DJ. A car will hit you. They'll pass in a minute. Pull over and let me out, please. Dad again braked hard. He swung over to the wide spot on the shoulder, raising a cloud of dust. A car passed from behind with an angry blast of the horn. Beep! Stay, hero, DJ commanded as he opened the door and jumped out. Careful, Dad called, climbing down from the seat. Wait until I check the traffic for you. The boy quickly glanced up and down the quiet mountain road. 2 cars were coming down and one going up. In a moment, both passed. Now, Dad called. The boy dashed into the road and scooped up the pup just as the dog started to run. DJ raced back to the shoulder and onto the gravel. He called to his father, "Just a little red hound. Can't be more than a few months old. Mostly ears and loose skin." Bloodhound, most likely, Dad said. That's a type of hound. Let me read about a bloodhound to you, okay? Let's see. Bloodhound, a breed of dog that has a keen sense of smell. A hound's sensitive nose enables it to detect both foot scent on the ground and body scent brushed off grass and bushes. Trained bloodhounds can usually follow a trail that is several hours old. Some can follow older tracks if the scent's not destroyed by other scents or rain or snow. The bloodhound has a very wrinkled face and long, droopy ears. His coat is usually tawny, that's kind of a brown, or black and tan, or red and tan. So that's what Dad thinks he found. He climbed back into the truck. Maybe a dash of red bone in him too, he said. DJ clutched the dog to his chest and ran around the pickup to get back inside. DJ hoisted himself up with his right hand, pulled himself up, and held the pup with his left. Hero raised his head to sniff the new arrival. DJ settled quickly into the seat and slammed the passenger's door. Dad let out the clutch. The truck crawled back onto the road again. Dad's cork-soled logging boot pressed down hard on the gas pedal. The pickup straightened out and swung into traffic, climbing towards Stony Ridge in California's Sierra Nevada mountains. Now, DJ said, let's see what we've got here. He lowered the pup to his knees. Dad said, more trouble, no doubt. He stole a sideways glance at the stray. Every time you bring up animal home, we always end up with troubles. Hero sniffed the pup and growled. Roar. The boy nudged Hero back and said firmly, no, quiet. DJ stroked the soft puppy fur. This little guy won't be any problem, Dad. Somebody must have dumped him out here for him to shift for himself or die. No collar or any sign of identification. Can I keep him? Well, we can't just dump him back on the road, but don't get your hopes up that you can keep him either. You know how your mother is, your stepmother, about pets. Remember, Hero's still on probation because of her allergies. The thought hit DJ with the smartness of a rubber band snapped against the cheek. The boy swallowed hard, remembering everything in the mad rush of memories. His mother had been killed in an auto accident nearly 2 years ago. At Easter a couple months ago, Dad had married the widow, Hannah Higgins. She had brought 9-year-old Priscilla, her daughter by her first marriage, to the new family. Now DJ had both a stepmother and a stepsister. Though Two Mom, as DJ called his stepmother, was allergic to animals, she still had allowed him to keep Hero outside, but not in the house. She wasn't likely to let him have this second dog because the whole new family was still in a period of adjustment. I can't give up Hero, DJ said evenly. I just can't. And I'd like to keep this stray too. Dad's voice was firm. You'll do what has to be done to make this new family work, DJ. The boy sighed. Maybe Dad was right. DJ had trouble, but it wasn't from the little loose-skinned pup hound in his lap. Dad ducked his head and looked out the upper part of the windshield. I see smoke from the fire. Seems to be coming out from where we used to live. DJ's throat tightened in fear. Maybe we better go check on Grandpa. I mean, it's not likely the fire will burn close to him, but maybe we should check on him anyway. Good idea, DJ. Dad eased up on the gas pedal. We'll take the McKinley Road cutoff. Grandpa Dillon still lived in the small, unpainted, rented house where DJ and Dad had lived before the recent marriage. The house was set away back in the ponderosas and sugar pine trees. DJ could hear the old man playing "Oh, John Clark" on his fiddle as they clomped on the front porch. Hero ran ahead and scratched at the rusty front screen. Grandpa came to the door and opened it. Hero bounded in, greeting the host with a happy tail wagging of his little short stub tail. Grandpa held the fiddle in his thin, blue-veined left hand. Hello, Hero. Yes, I'm glad to see you too. The old man looked at his grandson's armload. Grandpa pointed the bow at the pup. What you got there, DJ? The boy extended the pup with both hands. He's just a little scared hound pup. We found him right in the middle of the country road. What you gonna do with him? I hope I can keep him. Grandpa shook his head. Your new family's already got all the animals and kids it needs, I suspect. Ah, Grandpa, look at him. He's still trembling from the scare he had. He's not going to be any bother. The old man snorted and put the musical instrument into the case which lay on the homemade table. He motioned for his guest to sit down on the sagging old couch by the living room window. Dad sat quickly, his powerful body making the couch sink down. DJ gently put the pup on the printed linoleum floor. Stay, he commanded firmly. The pup sat. Hey, Dad, Grandpa, look at that. He minds real well. Probably just tired, Grandpa said with a chuckle. Not likely that little fellow's had much training yet. Might have, though, DJ said hopefully. If I put him on a leash and he heels and fetches and comes on command, then we'll know that he's trained already. The boy squatted on his heels and snapped his fingers. Come. The pup stood and stared at DJ, his long ears touching the floor. The pup's feet were big as pillows. He tripped over them and fell on his nose. However, the pup got up and hurried to DJ, who petted him and picked him up. The dog's skin was so loose that no matter where DJ took hold of it, the skin stretched out over 2 or 3 inches before it stopped. Dad and Grandpa laughed with amusement. DJ laughed with them, admiring the pup's dark red color. He has a bloodhound's sad, wrinkled face and the deepest brown eyes DJ had ever seen. DJ petted the pup and again commanded him to stay. The dog obeyed. DJ backed up and sat down on one of the homemade benches at the table. If I can't keep him, you want him, Grandpa? What would I do with another mouth to feed? No, thanky. DJ, why don't you give him to your friend Alfred? I don't really want to give this pup to anybody. I want him so Hero will have a dog friend. But if I did have to give the pup away, I'd like Alfred to have him most of anybody next to you, Grandpa. Grandpa chuckled and eased himself into the other end of the couch where his son was sitting. Well now, Grandpa said, what brings you two out to this neck of the woods? Dad explained about seeing the smoke. The old man adjusted his bifocals on his nose and picked up the blackthorn walking cane he called his Irish shillelagh. He shoved himself to his feet and walked out onto the front porch. He studied the distant column of dark smoke rising above the range of conifer-covered mountains and came back into the house. Remember, conifers are trees that have needles and they don't lose them in the wintertime, so they're green all the time. Don't worry about it none. It ain't nowheres close, and the wind's a-blowing away from here. Besides, them airplanes will get it out with another load or two of that there pink stuff they drop, just like they've been doing all summer. Dad leaned forward. I sure hope you're right. But if they don't catch the guy who's setting those fires pretty soon, one of those blazes is liable to get away and maybe burn me out of a job. Or burn the whole town, Grandpa said. Well, don't worry. They'll get him. Now, DJ, tell me about your new job as a newspaper reporter. Not really a reporter, Grandpa. I'm what they call a stringer. See if we can see what that word means, a stringer. Stringer, a reporter working part-time on a freelance basis for another newspaper, television, or radio station where he's not a staff member. So he hasn't been hired by the newspaper office full-time, but he gets to write some stories for them. So I'm what they call a stringer for the county weekly. In journalism, that's what they call a part-time correspondent who covers news of the area for the paper published somewhere else. That's what the editor told me. Somewhere else? Grandpa asked. Why, that paper's published at Indian Springs over at the county seat, 20 miles from here. But we live in Stony Ridge, DJ reminded him, and that's why I'm a stringer. Good experience for me when I grow up and become a famous writer. Dad reached into his hip pocket and produced his wallet. I brought you a copy of the story DJ wrote last week. It's all about wild turkeys that live in this county. The old man looked at the folded clipping and carefully spread it out. Looks like a right sizable story, DJ. 7 inches, the boy said, trying not to sound too proud. They pay me by the inch. The editor said he'd give me more space anytime I come up with a bigger story that's worth more inches. Excuse me. Any ideas, Grandpa? The old man snorted and peered with blue eyes over the top of his bifocals. From what I've read, just about everything in the news is in that little paper. Why, so it happens in this county that just mentioning people's name is news. DJ shook his head so his pale blonde hair flew from side to side. I don't think I can. There, kind of it did it. I want to do exciting stories, front page news. Hey, I know. I could write a story about the Forestry Service and how they're fighting those fires. Dad frowned. I don't think those people want a kid hanging around asking questions while they're in their busy season. It'd be different because I'm working with the newspaper, DJ exclaimed. Besides, maybe I could help them find the arsonist who's setting those fires. That's what an arsonist is, somebody that sets fires. Dad's frown deepened. I don't want to throw cold water on your writing, DJ, but that could be downright dangerous. Grandpa snorted again. Who says he's got to do anything dangerous? Just go to the offices and ask them people a bunch of questions. That's all. No need to get out where the fires are burning. The boy sensed he should not say anything more, but a sudden idea jumped in his head. He looked at his pup. It was chasing its tail and growling. DJ couldn't resist saying something. Maybe I could train that pup to help me trail the guy who's setting those fires. Wouldn't that make a story if I caught him? Hey, I could hardly wait to tell Alfred. Dad stood up. Before you go making any plans about that, you better see what my wife's going to say about keeping that hound pup. And that is the end of chapter 1. That was a good beginning. So chapter 2 will be called The Pup Gets a Name. The pup's going to get a name. I wonder what it will be. I guess we'll have to wait till tomorrow. So I just want to say that I love you. I really do. But more important than that, God loves you. And He always will. So have a good night or a good day, whichever time you're watching this. And we'll be reading chapter 2 tomorrow. Good night.